Today is December the 20th. What does it mean to know God? Let's find out together as we study Ezekiel chapter 37. When we come to Ezekiel chapter 37, we come to a very interesting passage. A lot of us know it because of an early 20th century song, Them Bones Gonna Walk Around. It's a valley of dry bones that Ezekiel sees. In 37 verse 1, the Lord took hold of me and I was carried away by the Spirit of the Lord to a valley filled with bones. Ezekiel says, Lord, what in the world is this? And the Lord tells him that the bones will recover life, and in the same way, Judah and Israel will recover life. Later on in the chapter, the Lord tells Ezekiel to take a piece of wood and split it in two. Then he's to write on one half Judah and on the other half Ephraim. And then he's to join it together. The Lord says in the same way, I will bring Israel and Judah back to the land of Israel. Starting to read now in verse 27. My servant David will be their king. They'll only have one shepherd. They'll obey my regulations. They'll be careful and keep my decrees. They'll live in the land that I gave my servant Jacob, the land where their ancestors lived. They and their children and their grandchildren after them will live there forever, generation after generation. My servant David will be their prince forever. I'll make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant. I'll give them their land and increase their numbers. I'll put my temple among them forever. I'll make my home among them. I'll be their God. They will be my people. And when my temple is among them forever, the nations will know that I am the Lord who makes Israel holy. Now, we've seen other prophecies in which the coming Messiah is prophesied to be a king to rule over the nation of Judah and Israel that has returned from exile. But here, what Ezekiel says is that, yes, the Messiah will be a king to rule over Israel, but the purpose is that the nations know that I am God. Now that little phrase, know that I am God, others will know, and specifically the nations will know that I am God, occurs 67 times in the book of Ezekiel, just in the book of Ezekiel. It seems to be one of the themes that Ezekiel has, that the entire world, the nations will know that he is God. 37 verse 6, after the Lord shows Ezekiel the dry bones, he says, I'll put flesh and muscles on you and I'll cover you with skin. I will put breath into you and you will come to life and you will know that I am God. You will know that I am God. He goes on, verses 11 to 14. He said to me, Son of man, these bones represent the people of Israel. They're saying, we have become old, dry bones. All hope is gone. Our nation is finished. Therefore prophesy to them and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says, O my people, I'll open your graves of exile. I'll cause you to rise again. I'll bring you back to the land of Israel. And when this happens, O my people, you will know that I am the Lord. I'll put my spirit in you and you'll live again and return home to your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I've done what I've said. Yes, the Lord has spoken. So here in this passage, Ezekiel says, you will know that I am God. Immediately following in chapter 38, if we look at verse 16, Ezekiel prophesies about a nation that he calls Gog. And he says in verse 16, you'll attack my people Israel, covering their land like a cloud. At that time in the distant future, I'll bring you against my land as everyone watches, and my holiness will be displayed by what happens to you, Gog. Then all the nations will know that I am the Lord. And then again in verse 23, near the end of the chapter, in this way I'll show my greatness and holiness. I will make myself known to all the nations of the world. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So we see this movement from, first of all, Israel knowing that he is God, and then moving beyond Israel to all nations of the world knowing that he is the Lord. But what does it mean to know that he is God? Well, first of all, there's an element of understanding to be involved here. They will understand that God is God supreme. But secondly, there's a connection that takes place in that knowing. In Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 62, Ezekiel says, I'll reaffirm my covenant with you, and you will know that I am the Lord. Knowing that he is God involves a reaffirmation of God's covenant with them. There's a connection there. Not only is it a connection, but the third level of knowing that he is God means following and obeying him. In Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 12, I gave them my Sabbath days of rest as a sign between them and me. It was to remind them that I am the Lord, that I had set them apart to be holy, literally. It is so that they will know that I am the Lord. When do they know he's the Lord? When they follow his instructions and obey him. Knowing that God is God involves understanding his sovereignty over the world, but it means also connecting with him and ultimately obeying him. Do you know the Lord today? Today's a great day to know him. Please like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you used to listen to this podcast. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll ask the question, why is there an Old and a New Testament?